Welcome to Conversation with Zaki Baruti, with your host Zaki Baruti. And like always, I want to give a shout out to my biological family, what's happening, to the Universal African Peoples Organization family, what's going on, and to New Life Evangelistic Center family headed by Reverend Rice. Keep up the great work. And a shout out to our amazing cameraman Bob. On that note, we'll have another great show because in studio with me is a young man who has just penned a book dealing with his experiences within the walls of prison, actually. And he's none other than Brother Walter Robertson, and his book is entitled A Prisoner's Diary. Welcome to Conversation with Zaki Baruti. Okay, then. First and foremost, whenever I begin my shows, I always like all of my listeners, the thousands of listeners, to know a little bit about the person I'm interviewing. Share some of your background. I mean, who you are, your experiences, wherever you want folks to know of you.
Okay. Well, I grew up on the north side of St. Louis in the Hyde Park area. I wrote this book.
Wait a minute, Hyde Park area. Where is that at generally? What are the streets?
Blair and Grand.
Okay.
Salisbury.
All right, I'm familiar with that. Sir. Okay, then.
This book, Prisoner's Diary, I wrote this book because I saw a lot of people that's intrigued by the judicial system. People will sit back and watch marathons of court TV shows, Judge Judy, cops, CSI, whatever. So I did a survey initially. So I passed out a survey and everybody kind of filled it out.
And where did you do the survey at?
I did the survey inside the prison. I was in Forest City, Arkansas.
Forest City, Arkansas?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. My wife is from Forest City, but she went in prison, though. All right.
After I did the survey, I sent some copies out to my sister, so she passed some out to people that kind of had a similar experience. But after the survey, I just sat back, went over to the library, sat off to myself, kind of just concentrated on breathing for a minute. Then I prayed for a minute, and I just took off with the ink pen and just
began writing. And so that's the beginning journey in terms of your book itself.
Yes, sir.
So let's digress. Okay, so you grew up in St. Louis. You mentioned that, I guess you were incarcerated in Forest City.
Yes,
Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
What was the name of the prison?
Forest City, Arkansas.
Oh, Forest.
FCI Forest City.
Okay, then. So what were you incarcerated for?
Well, actually, my case, in which my chapter about me is the first chapter. It's called Free Case. And what happened to me was I was coming out of a diner on the south side, on Cherokee in Texas, actually.
South side of St. Louis.
Yes,
okay.
Sir. And 3 officers pulled up on me and was asking me, like, aren't you Hildro? I'm like, no, my name ain't no Hildro. And the other officer said, no, this the guy that we took that money from, remember, a couple of months ago. They took some money from me a few months before that, and he tried to keep it. So I wouldn't sign the property bag, and I saw a detective or something walking past, and he was like, no, you can't do that. You gotta report that money to asset and forfeiture. So I wouldn't sign the property bag. I'm telling them whatever.
Wait a minute. Let me. I want total clarity. Okay, then. So you're coming out of the diner. You stopped by. How many officers?
3 officers, undercover, plain clothes, and a plain car.
But prior, you had some type of interaction with the police then, right?
Yeah, they took
Was that your very first time interaction with the police?
My very first time was, February 2003, they took the money from me.
And why did they take?
This is drug money, but I had receipts, so I wasn't finna argue with them. Uh-huh. If you're gonna rob me, then that's what you're gonna do, but I don't have to tell you. I got receipts for this money. Mm-hmm. And so, he took the money. He tried to take it, but the other officer was like, no, you can't do that. You got to come with me. So as I'm leaving that day, he like, I'm going to get you. And 2 months later, that's when that happened, when they jumped down on me coming out of the diner.
Okay, then. Yeah. So for our information, what was the name of that particular? So they didn't take the money from you the first time.
Yeah, they took it and then they seized the asset and forfeited. But he had the money in his pocket.
Oh,
so
he was going to keep it for himself.
Yes.
Okay,
so when the officer that I stopped said, I'm not signing this property bag because my money, if you seal it, whatever's not in there, you didn't have. So I'm telling him, I'm not signing this property bag until he put my money in there.
Okay.
So at first he was like, what money? I'm like, man, listen. So I see the other officer, he like, you can't do that. So now that money is on asset and forfeit, he had to turn it in. But he was keeping it. When the officer asked him, do you have his money? He come out of his pocket like, he like, no, you can't do that.
Okay.
Like, come with me, and he, you know.
Now let me, again, for clarity's sake, okay then. So when they stopped you for the original stop, was this your very first encounter with police?
Yeah, my very first.
And this is, you may mention drugs, so were you pushing drugs at that point in time?
No, I was not, actually, like, I wasn't.
Okay then. All right, so they took the money. 2 months later, that same officer who originally get ready to...
Same three.
Oh, okay, the same three, where one of them didn't go along with the others, okay.
No, they all was in on it together.
Okay. So anyway, so they stopped you at the diner, so what happened there?
When they stopped me at the diner, as I'm coming out of the diner with my food, they pulled up on me and they was like, hey, aren't you Hildro? I'm like, no, my name ain't no Hildro. You got the wrong person, so I'm still getting in the car. And then the other one was like, no, this the guy we took that money from a couple of months ago, remember? Turn around, put your hands behind your back. You got another dope case. So that happened, that go on, I go to trial, I lose in trial, and that's how I end up doing time in federal prison.
Okay, so your first chapter in your book, I believe I looked at it, was like a free case.
Yes, sir.
And that's the free case that you're saying.
It is what I'm speaking
And
of.
for our audience, what is a free case? But before we do that, we have to take a quick break.
How I thank God for Zaki Baruti and all the folks that are working with him that have stood with us all these years to get back into 1411 Locust so we can feed the hungry, shelter the homeless, reach out among those that are in need and be a beacon of hope to so many that have lost hope. Seems like all hell's broke loose in downtown St. Louis ever since they shut this building down in April 2017. I mean, they've had to put barricades on Washington Boulevard, bring out more police and everything else. Why? We can be that light. We can be that salt that Christ has called us to be if we'll pray together, work together, and do everything we can now to move forward and get into 1411 Locust. We need individuals who will help us make various repairs, people of faith that will pray with us and believe God with us for the resources that we need. We need to stand steadfast and see that the city doesn't give in to the big money interests. And there's a lot of big money interests that putting a lot of pressure for on our mayor. You need to pray for our mayor at this particular time. What a great God we serve. And how I thank God for those of you that have been praying, those who have been standing with us throughout the years. The door of opportunity is open, so we can reopen this building and be a refuge to the hurting and the homeless and help provide them with so many things that they need at this particular time. Yes, I believe that God is a miracle-working God, and as we continue to remain steadfast, we're going to see Him do exceedingly beyond what we can even ask or think.
Behind me is the New Life Evangelistic Center administrative offices in Overland, Missouri. And this is where we shoot our shows for our worship shows and the Here's Help Network. And it's also where Zaki Baruti and Bernie Hayes shoot their shows. You can find all of these shows at the New Life Evangelistic Center app, the NLEC TV app. You can also access them on your tablet or on your computer. And this is how you can stay up to date with all the things that New Life Evangelistic Center is doing. There are so many different programs that we've got going on, and God is doing many exciting things through partners like you. So if you want to support the work that New Life is doing, then please access and give through the app. You can go online at nlecstl.org or give us a call at 314-421-3020. Again, 314-421-3020. But this is the best way to get plugged into the amazing work that New Life is doing through people like you. And so there is something for you to get involved in today. And we are so thankful for our partners. Only through the grace of God and your gift are we able to bless others today.
Welcome back to Conversation with Zaki Baruti. In studio with me is a young man, Walter Robertson, who has written a book, A Prisoner's Diary. And on the other side of the break, you were sharing how you say that you received a free case, and your book starts off with free case. What is a free case for those who may not be familiar with that terminology?
Well, a free case is basically when an officer is attempting to charge you with something that you didn't do.
Okay.
To put drugs on you, put a gun on you that's not yours. So if you don't want to cooperate, or even if you telling him I don't know, but he's saying no, you know, and you don't have anything to tell him. So he like, either you gonna tell me this, or you gonna have this dope case, or you gonna have this gun case. So after usually they probably run your name through the computer and know, yeah, you can't stand with this. This will land you 15, 20 years in prison, I'm sure, at least 10. You know, so it's a.
I guess in summation, it's a false charge that they drop on you. Okay, correct. Then. Now, and you said you went to court, you pled innocent. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
But they found you guilty. So, what kind of sentence did you get?
I received 180 months.
180 months.
It's 15 years in a federal prison.
And at what age were you?
I was 28 at the time.
Okay, then. And that was in what year then that you were convicted?
2003.
2003. Okay, then. So how long, and how did you end up being, this was St. Louis officers.
Yes, sir.
So how did you end up being incarcerated in Forest City?
Actually, what happened, as I learned how everything works, the background, the inner workings of the judicial system, what they did was they ceded the jurisdiction to the federal government. So like a lot of states and cities or whatever, the police stations will cede jurisdiction for federal funding. So like certain cases, they'll just turn over to the feds. Like you don't have to be on. It's really, from my understanding, illegal. But you don't have to be on federal property. You don't have to be. But how they find a way to make it an interstate commerce thing.
Okay.
So like like my case, the gun that he put on me, Missouri don't manufacture guns. So anybody get caught with a gun in Missouri, the feds can come in with the interstate commerce because the gun was actually made. And at my trial, the prosecutor was saying that, we're not saying that you actually brought the gun from South Carolina, but it wasn't manufactured. So at some point, somebody transported the gun from South Carolina to Missouri. So that's the interstate commerce. And that was the reason they said that we have jurisdiction.
Okay, so there was a federal conviction then, basically.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and then they shipped you to Forest City.
Yeah.
Okay, did you do the maximum time? You said about 15 years?
Yes, sir.
You did the maximum
Yes,
time.
sir.
And while within that particular institution, that's when your creation of a prisoner's diary took place.
Correct.
Okay, then. Now, going through your book, I see you have, you began with the free case. Mm-hmm. Oh, let me digress. In terms of the officers, racially, what were they black and white or all white?
No, they're all white.
All white, okay then. So in your experiences, in your book, you have different chapters highlighting different inmates. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay. But how many inmates did you highlight in your book?
Well, the format for a prisoner's diary is every chapter is basically more like short stories. So every chapter is about a different person. Okay. So, chapter 1 would be about me, the free case. Chapter 2 is, I believe, AIDS in prison. Chapter 3 would be gays in prison, and the AIDS in prison story, that's a true story. And I've never seen nothing like that. The way this guy was just.
Wait a minute before you get into that, because I want to hear it.
Yeah.
I just wanted to get the format. So about, and that's general AIDS, but how many inmates did you highlight inside your book and their stories? Approximately.
Maybe about the actual true stories that actually happened, that I actually witnessed, about 5, and then about 6 or 7.
About 6 or 7.
And the rest of them I just kind of, off of the surveys, is kind of just my knowledge of, and just kind of freestyled and just
okay then.
went off on
now, You made mention of the subject of AIDS. Okay, you want to elaborate then? I mean, why did you deal with AIDS? Was AIDS prevalent in inside the institution?
Yeah, I mean, inside is just like another world of outside. So anything that's going on outside is going on the inside. Yeah, so this Rock was his name. Rock, he had a nosebleed one Saturday morning, like just profusively, just bleeding. Then he was losing weight like fast. I didn't notice it until my friend was like, "Man, Rock losing all weight." So when I looked at him, like, yeah, but he didn't want to go to medical, and he went home. And some months later, after he went home, he died. And one of their other homeboys showed me the newspaper from their town. Was like, "Look, man, Rock went home and died, man." Mm-hmm. Like that was devastating for me. So I really wanted to make sure that I put that.
So how did that tie in with AIDS? He had been impacted by AIDS?
Yeah, that's what happened. How he contracted it, I'm really not sure of that. But the scenarios that I put in on different things that I know that he done, just I kind of put it in there so you can kind of somehow it happened. But these are the activities that he was.
Which brings me to a subject that I know is not touched upon a whole lot in public, but there has been reports, of course, a number of sexual assaults that do occur in the prison. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
And on that note, before you answer, we got to take another break.
As you're driving around looking at all the Christmas lights, remember Jesus is the light of the world. Jesus is the reason for the season. So move beyond just all the Christmas decorations into the real meaning of Christmas. Jesus says, "Come to me, all you who labor and are heavy laden, I will give you rest." Christ has come. Christ is risen. He's more than just a baby in the manger. You can experience him personally, and we want to invite you to do that this Christmas. As many as call upon the name of the Lord, they shall be called the children of God. Ask Jesus to be your Lord and Savior, and if we can help you, call us at 314-421-3020. Go to Larry Rice Ministries for a lot more teaching on this. Come to know Jesus. And as you do, reach out and help the poor, the fatherless, the widow, the hurting, the homeless. We give you so many opportunities here at New Life Evangelistic Center. It's nlecstl.org on the web, or you can send your gift to P.O. Box 473, St. Louis, Missouri at 63166. Let your light shine and let the love of God flow through you this Christmas.
As we approach the Christmas season, it's so important to remember that Jesus is the reason for the season. He fulfilled all of the old prophecies in the Old Testament about the Messiah. And we can set our hope and our trust in him, for he has proven himself faithful throughout all of the years. So as things are a hard time right now, you have a reason to react in a different way. Jesus came to die for your sins. No one can take that away. There's no hardship, there's no persecution, no tribulation that can ever shake your salvation that you have in Jesus Christ. Let's celebrate his birth, give him the glory in all things, and worship God for his perfect plan in all that he says and does in his word. We give God the glory and the praise. In Jesus' name, amen.
Welcome back to Conversation with Zaki Baruti. In studio with me is Brother Walter Robertson, who has a book that's entitled A Prisoner's Diary, which outlines his experiences within the federal prison institution, basically in Forest City, Arkansas. On the other side of the break, I was asking the question about the prevalence of sexual assault within the institutions. Does that go on a consistent level, on a yes or no situation?
Depending on where you at, it happens. Involuntary, depending on where you at, and a lot of times it be violent. They just choosing to interact in that way.
Okay.
Yeah, it definitely it happens. But some people try to make it seem like everybody. It's not everybody.
Right.
It's people that it wasn't. Nobody forced you to, you just was, that's something that you like.
Okay,
Yeah.
then. I got you. Now, going back to your book, highlight. You want to highlight a couple of folks that you spoke of. I just see you got Angela Morrison, who was a juvenile.
Yeah, the chapter on juveniles in prison, Hassan Green is the first chapter about the little boy, and then Angela Morrison, is, the second half of that chapter is about her. And actually, the names in the book are changed from the actual people.
Oh, okay.
Because I don't want to,
I got you.
defamate anybody or,
Right.
Yeah.
But within that story, why did you highlight that particular person? I mean, what was the essence of that story?
At the time of me writing it, it felt right for the book. It felt like a good chapter to bring awareness to. I also have a chapter of women in prison, and it just basically gives a informative rundown on like what happens and how a person could get caught up in this situation. Nobody is exempt from going to prison. You can wake up with everything, you're living your best life, and before you know it, this happened, that happened, and things turn corners, and boom, how did I end up in this situation? Or I ended up in this situation and didn't know the severity of because of ignorance of the law, which the courts will not have mercy on you because you didn't know.
Okay then. So in essence, those two, you dealt with women in prison who get caught up as well as juveniles.
Yes, everybody.
Okay then. Now, is there within your book, I'm going to just pull up, you have the name, Alfonso Davis, Dope Fiend.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God.
What was that about?
Dope Fiend was is about a guy who he just couldn't get right. That dope had a hold on him. He would clean up and he would go back. I highlighted a part in that book. His mom and his sisters were having a Christmas party, and he was so strung out. He knew his sister was leaving to be at his mom's house, so he went he went to her house and opened her basement door. But she, it's my brother. I'm not thinking nothing going on. And when she left, he doubled back and took the Christmas tree, everything. He took everything out the house and sold it. Yeah.
That was a fiend there. Yeah. Wow. Which speaks to, the devastating impact of drugs across America right now. I know at the one time it was the heroin, then went from the heroin to the crack/cocaine. Now you got this fentanyl.
Oh, wow.
This fentanyl is all the way live.
I think if people actually knew what fentanyl was, I read an article about fentanyl, and they kind of dated back to like the 70s in Chicago. So just more recent in the 2000s when people was being found with needles in their arm and everything, like a grain of fentanyl. Like if you really knew like real fentanyl, a grain of it'll kill you dead. And that's why people are not understanding why they trying to mix and cut and dab with, and actually like just the mention of fentanyl, you should be like, no, it's like rat poison.
Yes, absolutely. I see you got another chapter that's got government vendetta. But before you deal with that, we got to take one last break.
An epidemic of homelessness is sweeping throughout the United States of America. In city after city, people are ending up on the streets. Now, instead of feeling overwhelmed, as believers, we can do three things. We can give, we can volunteer, and we can pray. We can pray for the homeless refugees that we're finding in one city after another, all over the United States. So many people ending up out on the streets, and the hearts of so many are growing cold at this particular time and indifferent to the need. Jesus said, as oft as you've done it to the least of these, he said, even so you've done it unto me. When's the last time you've prayed for the homeless refugees in the United States of America, appearing in city after city, not only in major cities, but even smaller cities? So many people ending up out on the streets, even in resort areas, places you never think you'd find homeless people, they're there. Jesus said, foxes have holes and birds have nests, but he, the Son of Man, had nowhere to lay his head. Please pray for the refugees. Please pray for the homeless people in America. And pray for those that are on the front lines, the first responders, reaching out through Jesus Christ among the homeless and hurting, whether it's in Springfield or St. Louis, Your prayers and gifts to the New Life Evangelistic Center makes a big difference. This New Life Evangelistic Center, P.O. Box 473, St. Louis, Missouri, is 63166.
The law of the Lord is perfect, reviving the soul. The testimony of the Lord is sure, making wise the simple. The precepts of the Lord are right, rejoicing the heart. The commandment of the Lord is pure, enlightening the eyes. The fear of the Lord is clean, enduring forever. The rules of the Lord are true and righteous altogether. More to be desired are they than gold, even much fine gold, sweeter also than honey and the drippings of the honeycomb. Moreover, by them is your servant warned. In keeping them, there is great reward. Psalm 19, verses 7 through 11.
Welcome back to Conversation with Zaki Baruti. I want to have a few more minutes with Brother Walter Robertson, A Prisoner's Diary. I was asking you about government vendetta, but before we do that, I don't want to forget, if anybody want to get a copy of your book, how would they be able to get it?
You can find A Prisoner's Diary at Barnes & Noble. You can get it off of Amazon, and any e-tablet, your Kindle or any other e-tablet that you have, you can find A Prisoner's Diary.
Now, if somebody wanted to reach out to you and maybe bring you to the schools to try to scare some of these young people from getting involved in the judicial system, how would they contact you?
You can reach me at waltrobceo@yahoo.com and text me at 314-349-0290.
Okay, then. Now, government vendetta. Can you wrap it real quick? What was that about?
The government vendetta is about the government being mad at a whistleblower, if I remember it correct. A guy that I think he worked for the government, and he seen just stuff wasn't going according to the way it was supposed to, so he started reporting it.
A whistleblower.
A whistleblower.
And it ended up getting caught up and getting in prison as a result of that?
Yeah.
All right, what about Married to the Game?
Oh, Married to the Game. Married to the Game, I've met a guy that was from Jamaica and a guy that was from Mexico. And how ironic, they both had 20 years. But they both were saying that as soon as I get out, like Johnny Martinez, Johnny, he was from Mexico. He was from Mexico and Texas, but he was saying my uncle got a truck for me. As soon, I mean, you fresh on a 20-year bid. Mm-hmm. You still thinking about transporting dope.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So
then.
he's just like that's also like can't stop, won't stop.
Can't stop, won't stop.
Yeah,
wow.
That's another chapter in there.
What about started with 5, ended with life?
Oh, yeah.
We only got 1 minute.
Okay, well, it started with 5, ended with life. That was a guy that went to prison, and he wasn't a gangbanger. He was just a hustler. So like, he knew everybody. And a guy from somewhere else was mad at him because everybody liked him, ran up in his room with a knife, and they got the wrestling and tussling, and he ended up getting a knife and stabbing the guy, the adrenaline flowing. Because the guy stabbed him twice, but they fighting over the knife, and he ended up stabbing him and killing him. I had to call home, tell his sister, tell my mama I ain't never coming home because these people charging me with first-degree murder.
Wow. What certain incidents you can get involved in that changed your life totally.
What a lot of people don't know is no guarantee on coming home from prison.
Right. Okay, on that note, I want to thank you for being here with us.
Yes,
again, how can people get this book? We only got 20. How can they get the book?
You can go on Barnes & Nobles, on Amazon, and any and all e-tablets.
Okay. On that note, as always, make sure that with any upcoming election that you know the issues and you vote and join an organization that speaks truth to power. We say join the Universal African People's Organization. May God bless each and every one of you, and make sure you get a copy of A Prisoner's Diary.